There's a little pea coming out of me right now.
Such insignificant creatures. They dare steal from Galactus.
10 insanely creepy cosmic horror villains of Guardians of the Galaxy, explored. Guardians of the Galaxy might not be on the list of best comic book series, but is surely a big hit in the MCU. With witty punchlines and a brilliant cast, the Guardians have made a big place in the hearts of all Marvel lovers. To make things even better, the God of Thunder and Lightning, Thor, has also joined the squad, and we are all anticipating Chris Hemsworth's entry in the upcoming movie, The Guardians of the Galaxy 3. The Guardians of the Galaxy deal with intergalactic issues and oppose comic villains and threats. These supervillains are cosmic entities with enormous power, and some are even close to being nigh-omnipotent. The stories are woven beautifully, with a wide, imaginative atmosphere where the team saves planets and averts greater threats. With all that said, let us dive into our list of the top 10 insanely creepy cosmic horror villains of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
You must face the World Eater known as Galactus.
Number 1. Galactus. Galen, otherwise known as Galactus and the Devourer of Worlds, is a godly tyrant and one of Marvel Comics' principal adversaries, opposing the entire Marvel Universe. He is the arch-enemy of the Silver Surfer and a frequent nemesis for the Fantastic Four, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, and the Avengers. Although he is not malicious, he is a deadly individual who requires nothing less than whole planets to satisfy his unending hunger, and is also tied to the Marvel Universe in such a way that if he dies, the entire Marvel Universe would cease to exist. This makes Galactus rather unusual, in that he is both a massively destructive entity and a vital component of the universe's existence. He is the titular major nemesis of the Galactus trilogy and the first 4 issues of the unbeatable Squirrel Girl, as well as some of the main villains of the Beta Ray Bill series. The ultimate crossover, Cataclysm, the Ultimate's Last Stand, and the main antagonist of the Silver Surfer series. Born before the creation of the current Marvel Universe, the youthful Galactus averted death when his universe was destroyed by combining with the Cosmic Egg, culminating in his rebirth into the newborn universe as the Great Galactus, Devourer of Worlds. Galactus wields the infinite power cosmic and is one of the most powerful entities in the Marvel Universe, with lesser degrees of near omnipotence. Galactus can use the cosmic energy within him to generate almost any effect he wishes. He can also move quicker than other Marvel characters. Galactus, as the universe's oldest known living organism, undoubtedly possesses the universe's most advanced mind. Reed Richards has acknowledged being unable to completely grasp even the most basic technology aboard Galactus's warship, Ta-2. The world ship itself is a solar system-sized construct that is claimed to outperform any natural world in beauty and majesty. Inside its computers is knowledge so vast and incomprehensible that it may bestow incredible power on anybody who comes into contact with it. He can also heal everyone he comes into contact with.
I wanted to do this together!
Number 2. Ego the Living Planet. The main adversary of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is Ego the Living Planet. Variants of him also serve as the main enemy in What If T'Challa became a Star-Lord, and as a secondary antagonist in What If Ultron won, and What If the Watcher broke his oath. He is an arrogant and omnicidal celestial who wishes to spread his dominion over the whole cosmos, which would imply the annihilation of all life in it. This version of Ego, like Ronan in the previous films, is significantly crueler, eviler, and a much greater menace than his mainstream comedic counterpart. Not only is he the Guardians of the Galaxy's second arch-nemesis, but he's also Peter Quill's biological father and his most despised opponent apart from Thanos. Kurt Russell, who also played Stuntman Mike in Death Proof and John Ruth in The Hateful Eight, played this character in the MCU movies. Aaron Schwartz was his younger self's body duplicate. David Hasselhoff, who also played Garth Knight in Knight Rider, temporarily played his alternate form. Ego was born millions of years ago as a member of the Celestials, a primitive brain-like species. For years, he was lonely until he found his power to control matter and built a protective shell around himself. Over the course of many years, he continued to construct layers on top of the shell, eventually transforming it into a planet. Following this, he began to ponder the meaning of his existence. To find the purpose and meaning of existence, Ego chose to develop a humanoid avatar which was an extension of his mind, to traverse the galaxy and reside among other galactic civilizations, as well as learn about their civilizations. Ego appears to be empathetic and compassionate at first, a loving parent and lover, as well as amiable to those who know him. But when his actual motives are revealed, the monster within him emerges. He is a violent, immature, selfish, cold, dangerous, and horrifyingly ruthless monster. He is so far one of the most vicious and dangerous villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. His victims even surpass that of Ronan. However, unlike Ronan, he is highly effective at concealing his actual aim. The latter never cared to act sweetly, and whereas the Accuser was motivated by pure hatred, Ego is motivated by a desire for power.
Fabulous.
Come on! Eternal!
Number 3. The MAGUS. MAGUS is a cosmic villain in Marvel Comics. He is the primary adversary of the Infinity War plot, as well as one of the primary antagonists of the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book series. He was a cosmic ruler and deity for a while before becoming a ghost, and is the arch-enemy of Adam Warlock and his evil self from an alternate reality. He is also the creator and leader of the Universal Church of Truth, which he commands, making him and his squad the galaxy's second arch-enemy. For ages, Warlock was blasted with dark secrets from chaos and order. They taught him first and foremost that there is no such thing as good and evil. Rather, the actual conflict is one of purpose. Warlock sought safety from these truths in his cocoon, but they found their way in. Finally, Warlock succumbed to these truths, causing him to become crazy. Chaos and order dispatched him ahead of his time. The MAGUS emerges from the cocoon with enormous abilities and an afro. Soon, the homeworld's residents were assaulted and murdered by him, making the survivors his worshippers. The MAGUS used his technology to build a fleet that spread the Universal Church of Truth's religion throughout the galaxy. The MAGUS, according to Quasar, is the global counterweight to Adam Warlock and exists as the negative evil half. As a result, he possesses all of Warlock's considerable power. Kang the Conqueror regards the MAGUS as one of the most horrific beings in the universe. Originally selected by Lord Chaos and Master Order to be the Avatar of Life, the MAGUS was appointed to confront Thanos, the then Avatar of Death, and maintain a cosmic balance between life and death. The first MAGUS iteration was capable of summoning Lord Chaos and Master Order's agent, the In-Betweener, by soaking his former counterpart in harmless special radiation that served as a beacon. The MAGUS, being the evil half of Adam Warlock, possesses all of Adam Warlock's physical talents and abilities from before his most recent resurrection. Moondragon, as a cosmic sorcerer in his second incarnation, observed that the MAGUS is a pretty strong magician and, as such, may command magic for a number of purposes. He has the ability to teleport, create portals using other things such as a mirror, and project his own arm using technology such as a telephone. He can also time travel and has immense healing skills that could restore Moondragon from a mortal wound in an instant. Number 4. ANNIHILUS. ANNIHILUS, also known as the Living Death That Walks, is a Marvel Comics alien supervillain and a longtime foe of the Fantastic Four and the Guardians of the Galaxy. He usually serves as the main villain of Negative Zone story arcs, and occasionally non-Negative Zone story arcs, such as when he later became a threat to the entire universe as the main antagonist of the cosmic storyline Annihilation, where he commanded the Annihilation Wave and later became the main villain of the THANOS trilogy, an occurrence involving a group of tyrannical explorers on the planet of Arthros in the Negative Zone gave birth to the creature subsequently known as ANNIHILUS. To rescue themselves, the tyrannical explorers were compelled to unleash the experimental spores they had brought with them to the planet. Centuries later, the spores coalesced into an insectoid creature that was intelligent but frail. Fortunately, the monster was able to live by using their technology to construct an exoskeleton and found the powerful relic known as the Cosmic Control Rod. ANNIHILUS, the monster, eventually grew obsessed with death and survival, believing that every sentient being is trying to kill him or steal the Cosmic Control Rod. ANNIHILUS captured the planet of Arthros and slew off several other worlds in the Negative Zone fueled by his paranoia. Annihilus's wings are capable of self-propelled flight and can resist the vacuum of space. He wears armor, which is essentially an insectoid exoskeleton with certain armored components that protects him from most types of damage like extreme temperatures, ballistic force, bullets, etc. He possesses superhuman strength of 50 tons. He can breathe in the vacuum of space, and his wings can propel him to speeds up to Mach 3. Annihilus' strength increased almost 1,000 tons when he became Annihilus. Annihilus wields the Cosmic Control Rod, a powerful weapon. It enables him to harness cosmic energy in order to modify matter's molecular structure. The rod has the ability to project massive quantities of destructive energy and concussive power. Continuous exposure to the rod's cosmic energies has also slowed Annihilus's aging process, making him nearly immortal. Though he does not usually engage in direct battle, Annihilus has been shown to be a powerful opponent, giving the Thing, Thor, Nova Prime, Quasar, and Blastar fits in individual confrontations. Annihilus also uses energy guns that he has adapted from Terranian technology. Number 5. THANE. THANE is Thanos' hidden inhuman son. Following the defeat of Thanos and his army by a descendant inhuman tribe, one inhuman lady went home pregnant with Thanos' child. Years later, Thanos began hunting for his long-lost son, disguising his search as a new cosmic conquering goal. He and his Black Order would raise worlds, demanding a tribute of the heads of younglings aged 16 to 22 or the extermination of their people. His hunt for his child led him to Earth. The Inhuman monarch, Black Bolt, learned of Thanos' actual plans on Earth by consulting the Inhuman Codex, a device that collected all of the knowledge acquired by the Inhuman kings and queens concerning Inhumans and their ancestors. The Illuminati set out on a quest for Thanos' kid, using coordinates to the locations of Inhuman communities on Earth. Unfortunately, Doctor Strange, the Illuminati member who discovered Thane in Greenland, was being controlled by Ebony Maw, one of Thanos' lieutenants, who used his powers to make Strange forget he had discovered Thanos' son, who had not yet been exposed to Terrigenesis. Thane moved to Brennan 7, where he gathered a large number of misfits and protected them as his flock. Former Spartax Empire monarch Jason discovered him and persuaded Thane to assist him in his plot. Thane, on the other hand, abandoned Mr. Knife after the Black Vortex was destroyed by the X-Men and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Thane returned to Brennan 7 to discover its occupants slaughtered, prompting him to seek vengeance. The powers of Thane include interstellar travel, cosmic pyrokinesis, resurrection, immortality, temporal manipulation, telepathy, and telekinesis. Unless he was wearing Ebony Maw's containment suit, his powers were unstable, which sadly resulted in those in his power range being wounded or murdered. Ebony Maw gave him a confinement suit which changed his powers such that they could only be used via direct touch.
He's the most powerful being in the universe. Not anymore.
Number 6. Ronan the Accuser. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ronan the Accuser is a significant enemy. He appears as the major adversary in Guardians of the Galaxy, as a minor antagonist in Captain Marvel, and as a figure referenced in Avengers Endgame. What if T'Challa became a Star-Lord? The second episode of the Marvel animated anthology series, What If?, also mentions a variation of him. He was a formidable Kree warrior and the leader of the Dark Aster, which was formerly linked to Thanos. He is also the previous employer of Nebula and Korath the Pursuer, as well as the Guardians of the Galaxy's and Drax the Destroyer's first arch nemesis, due to his participation in the murders of Drax's wife and daughter. Lee Pace played him in the film. Ronan the Accuser was born as a Kree extremist who lost many of his forefathers in the Kree-Nova battle, leading him to acquire a loathing for the Nova Empire and their planet, Xandar, for their culture. Ronan eventually rose to prominence, joining the Kree military group known as the Accusers and assisting the Supreme Intelligence in their struggle against the Skrulls. He did not consider himself a zealot or a terrorist. Rather, he saw himself as a follower of ancient Kree rules, and anybody who failed to obey them was an enemy who needed to be executed. Ronan is a symbol of wrath, fanaticism, uncontrollable hatred, and utter malice. He is brutal, aggressive, unrelenting, and merciless. Despite his boasts, he displays no respect for his people. However, Ronan was far more collected and reasonable before the signing of the Xandarian Kree Accord. He appeared to be aware of his limitations as he left Captain Marvel's fierce onslaught, proving that he was not the type of person who disposed of his soldiers unnecessarily while pledging to return. But he was still an extremist in his manners and actions, eager to bomb worlds indiscriminately to exterminate Skrulls, an act that even Jan Rog opposed because it endangered his people. He possesses extraordinary strength, as with all Kree, and is capable of defeating average Asgardians. He easily overpowered Drax, who rivals Groot in raw might. His reflexes are also superior to humans, as seen by his outpacing of Drax throughout their fight. The blood of a Kree is regenerating. It is what allows them to survive for such a long time. The Kree consider themselves to be an eternal species. It should be noted that Ronan stated that his forefathers were slain rather than aging to death. Number 7. Thanos. Thanatos, the Greek embodiment of death, inspired the name Thanos, who in Marvel is a mad titan. Despite being an Eternal, he has the look of a deviant due to his inborn deviant syndrome. Thanos was one of the last offspring of Alars, the father of Titan's second Eternal colony, and Suisan, the last survivor of this moon's first Eternal settlement. He was born with purple hide-like skin and a big body due to his deviant syndrome. When his mother first saw the baby, she became mad and sought to murder him. Thanos is so arrogant, aggressive, crafty, cruel, deceitful, and merciless that he is prepared to sacrifice whole worlds and civilizations, even in his race, to glorify and gain the respect of death. Thanos has an insatiable quest for power, constantly on the lookout for objects of unfathomable power and influence like the cosmic cubes or the infinity gems. Thanos speaks like a prophet with a calm and controlled demeanor that the Silver Surfer regards as professorial. Thanos has also shown an interest in farming and education. Despite his egomaniacal, if not outright omnicidal demeanor, Thanos does not plan to destroy everything. Even when he perceives a threat more dangerous than himself, he is inclined to help heroes. Thanos, Titan's most powerful and a powerful Eternal, is a superhuman mutant whose massive, heavy-bodied form had the capacity to produce cosmic energy for personal use. When approached by a nascent delegation of cosmic forces who sought to enlist him to annihilate it, he found greater value in conquering and connecting planet Earth with a wider pan-galactic civilization. The talents of the insane Titan have developed as a result of bionic augmentation, magical enhancement, and being resurrected by death itself. Thanos' ability to ponder is arguably his most harmful trait. His intellect is focused on enhancing his talents and annihilating all life. Thanos is a genius in practically every field of advanced study known to man, and his technology greatly outstrips that of present Earth science. He has also shown his ability to swiftly adjust to different fighting scenarios, as evidenced by his fight with the champion of the universe, whom he vanquished by dancing around him, blasting him with energy blast, and fooling him into destroying the planet on which they battled.
This statue!
Is it my imagination, or did it just move?
Get down!
Number 8. TERRAX the Tamer. Tyros, commonly known as TERRAX the Tamer in the Marvel Comics world, is a cosmic supervillain. He debuted in Fantastic Four number 211 as one of the erstwhile Heralds of Galactus. Later, he becomes an adversary of the Avengers, Silver Surfer, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Tyros, the king of the city-state of Landlac on the planetoid Beerge, first emerged as an extraterrestrial named Tyros. Tyros is chosen as Galactus' new herald, but he first desires for the Fantastic Four to humble him. In exchange, the cosmic entity promises to visit Earth to assist the heroes in their fight against a new foe, the Nova villain Sphinx. Tyros is beaten and taken before Galactus, who transforms him into TERRAX the Tamer. His tiny mastery over stone was amplified incalculably. He could now affect all rock and stone matter on practically a planetary scale. His physique was modified to endure the vacuum of space. Finally, Galactus bestowed onto TERRAX a weapon known as the Cosmic Axe, which was capable of creating cosmic force waves. Tyros is an extraterrestrial with a genetic abnormality that allows him a limited mental power to alter the molecules of rock and earth. After being transformed by Galactus' power cosmic, the character can perform feats as small as manipulating sand to as large as causing volcanic eruptions and moving asteroids, meteors, and planetary masses from space at high speeds, shifting tectonic plates to cause earthquakes and create chasms, and levitating large landmasses miles into the air. He frequently travels across space in the form of an asteroid. TERRAX, like other heralds, possesses superhuman strength capable of lifting more than 1,000 tons, stamina, and durability, as well as energy beams, force fields, warp speed, and immunity to the vacuum of space. TERRAX, as Galactus' new herald, discovered more worlds for his master than all of the other heralds combined. TERRAX compared the finding of new planets to a sense of conquering. He used his cosmic abilities to obliterate vast chunks of the populace on multiple occasions. His lack of morals made him an effective herald, just as Galactus had intended. Unlike other heralds of Galactus, TERRAX had no feeling of allegiance to his lord. He served Galactus out of dread of his master's strength, but he overcame that fear multiple times in order to reject Galactus' orders.
No! Stop him!
Number 9. Michael KORVAC. Michael KORVAC, often known as the Enemy or KORVAC, is a fictional character and one of Marvel Comics' principal adversaries. Steve Gerber and Jim Starlin developed the character who initially appears in Giant-Sized Defenders. In the parallel reality of Earth 691, Michael KORVAC works as a computer technician. When the alien Brotherhood of Badoon conquers the Sol System and its colonies in 3007 AD, KORVAC becomes an ally and rogue to the human people. As punishment for falling asleep at a machine while working, the Badoon splice KORVAC's upper torso to a machine, thereby turning him into a cyborg. KORVAC is then taken across time by the Grand Master, the Elder of the Universe, who uses him as a pawn in his battle against the hero Doctor Strange and the Defenders. KORVAC was a regular guy until the Badoon cut his lower half and grafted his upper body and neural system onto a sophisticated computer module capable of siphoning energy from nearly any source. KORVAC's mechanical module was also capable of tapping and synthesizing any type of energy and concealing powerful armaments. He obtained reality-bending abilities after receiving knowledge from Galactus' spacecraft and gaining the power cosmic. He can project energy, change matter, teleport, and manipulate time and space. KORVAC kept all of his cosmic skills in his flawless human form and could utilize them to achieve almost any consequence. Michael KORVAC is a great computer scientist, a skilled strategist, and a fearsome hand-to-hand warrior. KORVAC assembles a force of aliens known as the Minions of Menace, and attempts to make the Earth's sun go nova, but is thwarted by the Guardians of the Galaxy and the time-traveling Thunder God Thor. The Grand Master temporarily resurrects KORVAC in human form to combat Silver Surfer. When KORVAC's ploy to take the power of a cosmic cube from Red Skull failed, Red Skull utilized his internalized cube power to disperse KORVAC throughout 6 dimensions. Number 10. RAKER. RAKER, sometimes known as Cardinal RAKER, is a high-ranking member of the Universal Church of Truth in the comics. He first encountered the titular Guardians in 2008, possessing the power of the Belief Battery, which allows him to do anything he believes in passionately enough. It's uncertain how much of this will be carried over into his game equivalent. RAKER's prior occurrences were still a mystery. The Cardinals were more than simply religious authorities. They also served as the Church's highly trained striking force. The Guardians of the Galaxy destroyed a temple ship belonging to the Church of Truth while seeking to avert the collapse of a fissure anomaly in reality's fabric. The Matriarch regarded the Guardians' actions to be blasphemy and called RAKER and the Cardinals to mete out vengeance and penance, as well as to authenticate the validity of one of the Guardian members. RAKER, as a member of the Universal Church of Truth, held the capacity to access the Belief Battery, granting him superhuman strength, stamina, reflexes, and durability. RAKER has the capacity to project enormous bolts of force from his hands, as well as flight and teleportation. RAKER and his religious friends demonstrate the strength of the Belief Battery, allowing them to endure any sort of attack launched by the Guardians. While fighting Adam Warlock, RAKER declared that Warlock's new abilities were nothing more than a malicious witchcraft before unleashing a violent blast of energy from his stomach, eradicating the danger of the Golden Hero. RAKER and many prominent members of the Universal Church of Truth assaulted the Guardian stronghold of Nowhere, abducting Moondragon and Cynosure of the Luminals in search for their new messiah, who had been kidnapped within the body of the telepath Moondragon. They escaped to the surface of Orisun, a planet that had been converted to their dazzling faith 8 cycles before. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
I like you.